Recently, the European Commission made an unprecedented statement regarding economic cooperation with the Baltic states. In response, the renowned Latvian politician Aivars Lembergs provided an extensive commentary on the potential future of cooperation between the Baltic states and the rest of the European Union. We will present the most interesting excerpts from his remarks. But before we begin, please subscribe to our channel to stay updated with new videos. A warning signal has sounded for the Baltic elites. The European Commission has strongly recommended that Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia seek their own funding for the construction of the Rail Baltica railway. This indicates that the EU's approach to cooperation with the Baltic states is beginning to change significantly. When the Baltic states left the USSR in the early 1990s and began integrating into Euro-Atlantic structures, they were promised much. Europeans spoke of transforming the former Soviet republics into prosperous territories. One element of this vision was a large, convenient, high-speed railway connecting Western Europe with the Baltic states. This idea was proposed at a transport conference in Prague in 1991 but was subsequently shelved. In the early 2000s, Riga, Vilnius, and Tallinn revisited this idea and sought Western funding for its realization. Consequently, in 2004, the European Parliament and the European Council announced plans for the North Sea Baltic corridor route from Rotterdam to Berlin to Tallinn. Several years were spent preparing the routes for rail laying and signing various memoranda of intent. It wasn't until 2011 that a feasibility study for the Rail Baltica project appeared, envisioning a railway about 870 kilometers long with various infrastructure components, bridges, terminals, and more. However, the only real step towards realizing this project in the early 2010s was a 7-kilometer railway section between Makava and Sestokai in Lithuania, which comprised less than 1% of the planned work. Minimal progress towards creating Rail Baltica began only between 2013 and 2016. The Baltic Republic signed 2 declarations to work on the project, created a separate joint stock company for its implementation, and even launched passenger services between Lithuanian Kaunas and Polish Białystok. After multiple postponements, 2026 was named as the project's completion year. As the project costs increased, European experts began reassessing their views on the railway. To maintain at least minimal profitability, Rail Baltica needs to handle at least 35 freight trains per day. Theoretically, its workload by 2030 might only be 10 trains. Despite this, in 2022, European media began publishing reports estimating Rail Baltica's construction cost at €5.8 billion, with a theoretical profit of €16.2 billion. Journalists claimed that Brussels was allegedly planning to subsidize the project by 85%. However, it soon became clear that these estimates were unrealistic. During more detailed planning, the cost of Rail Baltica rose even further, and the earliest completion date shifted to 2030. By 2023, budget estimates for Rail Baltica's construction had risen to €25 billion. Moreover, project participants stated that by 2030 only the most critical components would be completed. Subsequently, European officials indicated that their primary interest was in creating the Trans-European Transport Network, TEN-T, which includes the Tallinn-Warsaw line. This plan excludes the railway route through Vilnius and Riga, as well as other excesses. Baltic elites and project coordinators have begun seeking ways to cut costs. The Rail Baltica project has significantly slimmed down, as highlighted by management's statements that a single-track railway is just as good as a double-track one, report Baltic media outlets. Preliminary estimates suggest that if everything except the bare essentials is excluded, the project will cost between €11.7 billion and €15 billion. However, this raises questions about its feasibility, as Rail Baltica will not pass through the largest Baltic cities, significant speed restrictions will be necessary, and the goal of traveling from Riga to Tallinn in 1 hour 42 minutes will become unattainable. The cheapest option would be not to connect Riga to the new European gauge railway, but to arrange a transfer to the train outside the city, noted RB Rail's chairman of the board, Marko Kivala. Nevertheless, Latvia continues to lobby for the inclusion of Rail Baltica in Riga. Lithuania, however, appears to have already lost this battle. The main railway line is planned to be laid approximately 100 kilometers from Vilnius. The European Commission has made it clear that constructing the railway through the Lithuanian capital does not align with its vision of the priority main route. However, even excluding the financial bonuses for Latvia and Lithuania, Brussels does not intend to provide full funding for the project's implementation. The European Commission assumes that the countries will be able to propose funding solutions for the project on this scale, which will be based not only on the support of the European Commission, emphasized Marko Kivala. This was publicly confirmed a few days later. Rail Baltica project coordinator at the European Commission, Catherine Trautmann, told the media that the Baltic states cannot rely solely on EU assistance. They must seek private funds for the project and increase their own contributions. My message to your audience is that everything you can do as a state, please do and take the initiative. EU countries cannot just wait for European money. They must contribute, which can be useful for finding opportunities for public-private partnerships and improving their ratings in the overall budget. We are currently at the stage of discussing the budget, the official said in an interview with the ERR portal. The situation surrounding Rail Baltica is an important signal that fundamental changes are beginning in the relationship between the Baltic states and the rest of the European Union. The transport significance of the Baltic region has diminished after severing ties with Russia and Belarus. According to some regional business representatives, the Baltic states today are a logistical island or dead end. The only condition under which the transport logistical infrastructure of the Baltic republics can become in demand and profitable again, considering the loss of EU subsidies, is the de-escalation of the regional situation and the restoration of constructive trade and economic relations with Russia and Belarus. However, local elites are currently doing everything to prevent this from happening. Dear viewers and listeners, please write in the comments what you think about the current situation around the Rail Baltica railway. Will it be possible to find funds for its construction? Do you agree with Aivars Lembergs' position? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like it. All the best.